My name is Ryan. My friend Kyle and I have taken our barroom conversations to the internet in the form of Michigan's most up-and-coming sports talk podcast. From baseball to Bigfoot, we cover it all. You're in for a treat because you have found the Turbo and 2K show. Welcome to episode 27, 2K crew. We are back at you, throwing this shit down like we do every week. You know what's going on. So, the show is going to be kind of different. There's a lot of shit going on right now, and it's one of the reasons we talked the last couple weeks about this being basically our favorite time of the year. Mm-hmm. We got the baseball playoffs, football's getting started, the fantasy football draft's cranking up, which we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But everything's getting a pulse back. And so what we decided to do is just kind of do a week in review and kind of touch we got a little bit of baseball, we got a little bit of football, and if we get a little time, we might sprinkle in some other stuff here and there. So you guys know how this goes. We start on something and then ooh shiny, especially when Christian's here, because that's usually what happens. But the thing that jumps off the page is at me the most this week is the fucking Mets. Mm-hmm. You and I both sat here and just downed them. Like, what the fuck are they doing? This is ridiculous. The brass over there in the Mets organization must know something that we don't, because as they sit right now, they're a half game back of the second wild card spot and only a game and a half back from the first wild card spot. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, I think when I say there were 6 or 8 back of the Braves right now, so it's still possible. Yeah, absolutely. Is it probable? Probably not. But for an organization and a team, I think everyone kind of wrote off. I mean, these boys are bringing it. And there were some analysts saying, "Oh, well, they swept the Marlins. Who gives a shit? They swept the Marlins. They beat the Nats last night." Mm-hmm. And their pitching staff, I mean, that's been should have been their MO this whole time. With DeGrom, Thor, and then now with Stroman, that should be their strength. And it just, the bats hadn't come alive. Well, shit, since the All-Star break, them bats come alive. Them bats have come alive. So my question to you, 2K, is do you think they are a legit wild card contender? Do you think they can keep this up? And before you answer that, hold on one second. Yeah, Washington is a game up on Milwaukee. Those two have the 2 wild card spots right now.
A lot of teams really close in that area. I mean, there's a lot that can happen here in the next couple months. Oh yeah,
and St. Louis, the Mets, and Philly. Believe it or not, Philadelphia is only a half game back. It seems like that team's been dead about 4 times this year.
Well, their expectations were so high going into the season that I think that teams thought that they were just going to walk in easy.
Well, rightfully so. When you sign the biggest name in free agency.
Yeah, and then some of the trades that you look back on some of the trades they pulled off going into the season. I mean, they looked like one of the favorites when the season started off. I mean, I know I had a lot, had a lot of respect for them going into the season, and it really hasn't panned out. But yeah, they're still right there in the mix.
And if you kind of flip that script a little bit and look at, a lot of people wrote off the Nats. Mm-hmm. They let Bryce Harper walk.
I think I had him finishing last in that.
Yeah.
Or maybe just over the Marlins. yeah. Take that back.
Calm down. The Marlins are actually still a team. And because they didn't bring the checkbook out to Bryce. Mm-hmm. They made some moves that were kind of questionable. And then you put on top of that, Scherzer's he's on an extended DL or IL, IL stint here. So they're treading water. They're standing pat. And yeah, I'm almost positive that a lot of analysts and a lot of people wrote them off, but here they are. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, St. Louis, the Mets, Philly are all a half game back of Milwaukee. Arizona, out of nowhere, is a game and a half back. And if you want to stretch it out a little further, San Francisco's 4 games back, Cincinnati's 4.5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams pretty much in the mix, I would say. Then after Cincinnati, it drops off to San Diego. But, but yeah, I think all those teams have a legit shot at making this.
Yeah.
And when we were doing our little show prep, you mentioned that Milwaukee. I mean, it seems like they're just treading water.
Mm-hmm.
Yelich can only do so much.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been him and Bellinger have been that MVP candidate the whole year, from pretty much the start till probably the end. If both of them stay healthy, but they're pitching.
Yeah, and I mean, I think last week I think it was 3 games in a row that they had Hader out there, threw him out there
for multiple innings.
Yes, for multiple innings, and that just tells me that you have a team that's in panic mode.
Yep.
They see what's happening with all these teams very close, these teams coming from behind, and they're in panic mode. And when it comes down to it, they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything for starting pitching, for the bullpen or anything at the deadline, and I think they're going to really, really regret that for the rest of the season.
And if you take that whole division, the Cubs are 63-53, so they're 10 games over 500.
Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say that they're gonna be just fine.
And St. Louis is 59-55, and Milwaukee's 61-56. So that division's tight. And could we possibly see 3 teams from that division make the playoffs? Could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Could very well happen. But just looking over here, like the last 10 games, the Dodgers are 8-2. I mean, the Dodgers are just the Dodgers. But the teams that the Mets are climbing above and contending with, the Nats are 5-5, Milwaukee's 5-5, St. Louis 3-7, Philly 4-6, Arizona 6-4, while the Mets are 9-1. And I'm pretty sure if you take into consideration last night's game, they might be 10-1.
Mm.
So they're on fire.
Yeah.
They are, whatever momentum they have, if you could bottle it and sell it, you'd be a gazillionaire.
Mm.
And I think it's come down to just that switch that flipped.
Yeah. And I think you asked me the question, do I think they're for real? And I know that both of us, we sat here last week and kind of bashed on what is their plan? What were they doing? And because there was reports coming out at the deadline that they're giving up and they're going to try to trade Syndergaard. Then all of a sudden, yes, and then all of a sudden they bring in Stroman, and it was like, what the heck's going on? But now, as hot as they are, and they finally got the bats coming, and that's really been the only question mark with them, because we know what they have as far as starting pitching, and I can guarantee you that all these teams at the top are thinking, man, we don't want the Mets to make this, to get hot and make the playoffs, because we don't want to face that starting rotation in a playoff, in a 5-game series or in a 7-game series. I don't want anything to do with them in a series because of the pitching that they can roll out at you. It doesn't matter if they can't, manufacture very many runs. Right. They have pitching that can hold you to 2-3 runs a game, and that gives them a very good chance of winning.
And if they do end up making the wild card and winning that 1-game play-in, if you're the Dodgers, just like you said, you're sitting back going, okay, and that might be if it comes down to it, that might be the best series of the playoffs. Yeah. Especially in the first round. But and that would be one hell of a series too. Both teams are hot as fuck, and probably I'm not even say probably they are the 2 best starting staffs in the National League.
Absolutely. I mean, you have Jacob deGrom, who I consider, if he's not the best pitcher in the National League right now, he's right there.
Yeah. And
then coming behind him, you already had you have Syndergaard coming, and you have Steven Matz, but then they go out at the trade deadline like they knew that they were going to go on this 10-game, 9-game winning streak or whatever, and they pull in Stroman, who, I get it, the numbers with Stroman are not eye-popping, but the thing is, the guy pitches his best baseball in big situations. You can't tell me that if he gets the Dodgers in a first-round playoff, because he's hungry, he just wants to play in a playoff game, he wants to play meaningful baseball. You can't tell me that he's not going to pitch one of his best games in that situation. I know it's coming.
And if you look at it, you're not in too bad a shape when Stroman's your number 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure most teams in baseball would be like, give us that problem. Mm-hmm. Please give us that problem, because And I mean, granted, you can make the argument he could actually be the number 2 if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But I think DeGrom arguably is their ace.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Syndergaard, I would put in right there, number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously either Wheeler or Stroman. But I would put, especially in a 5-game series, those are 4 guys that, I mean, and the cool part is they're all 4 different pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
DeGrom has the hard stuff, but he likes to, he's more of a hit spot and, lots of off speed, but very precise. Thor just tries to overpower you, John Smoltz style. And, Stroman doesn't have nearly the gas as those types. And Wheeler's the same way. I mean, that kid looks so effortless throwing 98 miles an hour. It just blows me away. And Stroman's more of that, he's maybe 93, 94.
Yeah, he's a ground ball specialist.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of ground balls. That's what he's always been. But big situations, that's where you get the best of him.
Yep. And especially against an offense like the Dodgers that is very powerful, can hit home runs out of any stadium. Being a ground ball pitcher isn't a bad thing.
No.
You want those big bats to just beat that ball right into the ground or pop it straight up and keep them in the yard. And make them manufacture runs instead of just, be the Yankees. And, well, it's good to be the Yankees right now because it seems like they're hitting 5 home runs every fucking game. With people, I don't even know who the fuck they are.
Yeah.
Their catcher, their left fielder. Kristen and I were watching the game when they beat the Red Sox. Like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
And especially what really makes it hard with the Yankees because they don't have their names on the back like the Red Sox. And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck? And then they have a Japanese dude that doesn't look Japanese who's a catcher. I'm like, where are these guys coming from? I just don't get it. But fuck. Booney's plugging and playing.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
Jesus Christ.
I've said it time and time again that they needed to do something at the deadline as far as to upgrade their pitching because their pitching scares me come postseason play.
Yeah, and right now they've been on after that 4 games against the Red Sox in Fenway, and then the Red Sox had Tampa in and then lost all 3 games, and then the Red Sox went back to New York. They've been playing not the best teams.
No,
and granted the Red Sox played the Royals and lost 2 out of 3, so they're winning the games that they should be winning. Yeah. Where any other team, if you look at. Take my Red Sox, for instance. Like I said, they just lost a series to the Royals. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
And Chris Sale did Sale go the first game? I think he did. He got rocked. And then he comes back, his last start, and goes 7 innings, 13 Ks, big fat 0.
Pretty much what Chris Sale. Yeah, Chris Sale's done his whole career.
Yeah, and it's like, where has this been all year?
Yeah.
And then...
Well, where's it been all year for Boston as a staff? I mean, that's what gets me with them. And it seems like, the season is starting to dwindle down. And we're getting late in the season, and I keep on, and I've said it probably 8 times this year on this podcast alone. Oh, Boston's they're gonna show up sooner or later. They're gonna be there. They're too good not to be there. Well, I'm running out of time on that one because I'm starting to think that Boston's not gonna make it.
It saddens me to say that I'm right there with you. Mm-hmm. I'm right there with you. Where a lot of people thought Tampa would just fall off the face of the earth, those boys have been playing some ball. Mm-hmm. And when that series they played against the Red Sox, they were fucking hot.
Yeah.
That's when the Red Sox were going fucking savage all over the Yankees. And then just get absolutely shit on by the Rays. Not to say the Rays are a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. But if you would have told me when we did our MLB preview show, if the Rays would be in contention this far into the year, I'd say no, there's no fucking way.
Yeah, and I remember the big thing that I was saying, when they got off to that hot start, and I was saying, well, they can't have Blake Snell out there pitching every day. Blake Snell hasn't done shit this year.
No.
Look at where Tampa's at right now, and they're 67-50, and imagine if Blake Snell was pitching anywhere close to where he was last year when he won the Cy Young. And then they've been pitching this last month and a half without Tyler Glasnow, who was kind of come out of nowhere this year.
Yeah.
Part of the Chris Archer trade that, wow, I mean, Pittsburgh just shit the bed on that trade.
Yes.
But so, I mean, if Tampa is getting anything close out of Snell, and they have Glasnow, healthy, man, they're right up there with the Yankees record wise, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. Can't argue, and I think the main takeaway here is they're doing it without Joe Madden.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Madden was that dude that used to take these bunch of Evan Longoria and a bunch of no names and make the playoffs.
Yeah,
like who the fuck are And granted, a lot of those guys had would come a long way, like your David Prices and that whole pitching staff was unbelievable, but they couldn't keep any of them.
Yeah,
but yeah, if you just sat here and told me like, Turb, don't worry, bet on Tampa, they're gonna be in the mix pretty much the whole season.
Yeah, in that division,
I'd have told you to get the fuck out of here. Yeah. And yeah, especially in that division. Come on. Come on. Do you think I just started watching baseball? Well, obviously it looks like I did. But yeah, so speaking of the trade deadline, for all you Cubs fans out there that were questioning the trade to get Castellanos, I think you guys should be thanking your head office there, because that kid's the best hitter in your fucking lineup right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and they're gonna go on to win that division, I think, easy. It would not shock me if they win that division by 7-8 games when it's all said and done. And you basically, and I get it, he was a rental. There wasn't, Detroit was not gonna, get a lot out of him. But shit, Detroit got nothing out of him, and the Cubs added their number 2 hitter.
Yep.
Who, since he's become a Cub, has been their best hitter by far, not even close.
He looks very comfortable at Wrigley.
Yeah, and I've said it. I said it probably two months before the deadline was even here. Castellanos was going to get traded to the Cubs.
Mm-hmm.
The Cubs would have been stupid not to make that deal.
Yes.
His swing is perfect for that field. The Cubs have nobody in their lineup that can hit lefties. Now they have someone who's one of the best at hitting lefties. I mean, it is. That was a deal that had to be made, and maybe the best deal that happened at the deadline. Everybody wants to talk about the big names, but nobody really talked about that.
It might not be the best per se, but it's going to be the most impactful.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, the Greinke deal was huge. All the pitchers moving, huge. But when you can slate a guy in every game instead of once every 5 days or five games, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And yes, Castellanos is living in right center field in that alley at Wrigley and just making it his bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I have talked many, many times. His swing is built for that stadium.
I mean, he took a lot of heat there in his last 2 weeks in Detroit because he made that comment of, Co-America and how stupid the ballpark is. Is he wrong?
I don't think so.
I was reading all these things on Facebook and Twitter all over the place of Detroit fans just ripping him for complaining, and I'm like, he's not wrong.
No,
it is that field is so stupid. Center field being 420, that is dumb. Right field alley, that is dumb. If I'm Castellanos and my swing is all my best power is to right center and straight up the middle, and I'm playing at Detroit, I think that shit's dumb too. That dumb shit is holding me back from making bank. Everybody wanting to rip on me because I'm a mediocre outfielder. Well, if I didn't play on a dumb field and I was hitting 300 every year with 30 some bombs and driving in 100 easy, nobody'd give a shit about me misplaying a ball in the outfield here and there.
Yeah, no one complains about JD Martinez when he played right field there. But JD's not a great fielding outfielder at all.
But JD was putting up crazy numbers there because JD's the power that he has is something to be said about the power that he has. But for Castellanos, if he was playing at a different field, you're looking at a 25-30 home run a year guy. He's driving in over 100 runs and batting you, if not 300, he's just below 300 for the last 3 or 4 years. But because he's playing at the ballpark he's playing in, those numbers are very hard to put up.
Yeah, and then combine that with his fielding ability in that large stadium. You put him in right field in Wrigley, it's a completely different story.
Mm-hmm.
Completely different story. There's a lot less room to cover, a lot less green to cover. And not taking anything away from Jacoby Jones, but if Jason Hayward's your center fielder, it makes shit a lot easier.
Yeah.
A lot easier. And so if I'm a Cubs fan, I am preaching, begging, pleading to any powers that could be, cut him a fucking check.
Yeah.
Keep him there. Him and Chris Bryant's swing are almost identical. They look, I mean, their stances are different, but their swing pass and their approach to the ball, everything looks like a carbon copy of one another. That's only going to get Chris Bryant more quality pitches to hit. And him and Rizzo both. That whole roster is going to benefit more from this addition. And when you didn't have to give up a lot to get him. So you're having like a tryout per se. And he's fucking killing it. He is killing it. So if I'm the Cubs brass, I am we're in talks right now.
Yeah.
I want to get you locked up to an extension, not even let another team look at you and be here for the next 5 years.
I mean, out of all the outfielders that the Cubs have, what outfielder would you want over him? You can maybe make an argument for Hayward, because of his defense, but there's not a question who the better hitter is between those two.
Oh, leaps and bounds.
So my thing is, it's easier to find defensive outfielders coming up than it is to find outfielders that can fucking hit at the major league level. So he's your most proven outfielder at the major league level as far as hitting the ball. He would be my first priority.
Yes, and I, there was, Dave Brown brought up in the 2K group that he didn't understand why they would go out and get him. Well, Dave, here's your answer.
Yeah.
Here's your answer. He's going to be the reason why you win that division. He's going to be the reason why you win that division, running away with it and opening up that gap between you and the other teams that we talked about and how close everything is. So calm down. Calm down.
And people rip on him because he is. They say that he is just this horrible, horrible outfielder. And I've watched more Tigers games over the years than about anybody. He's not awful.
No.
Like, is he a great outfielder that's going to make diving plays and make the spectacular grabs and throw people out, trying to go first to third? No. He's not that guy. He's going to make the plays that he's supposed to make as an outfielder. And then what he does at the plate, you can't find very many kids that can hit like that are, guaranteed. He's just a fucking pro.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. Is he going to be a Gold Glover?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Do you need a Gold Glover in right field to have him be successful?
No.
It helps, but do you need one? No, not at all. No. Not at all. And last I checked, they only give 3 Gold Gloves per AL and NL. So those you got to be pretty damn good to get one of those. Yeah. And there's, as far as defense goes, there's a lot of great, and I think that's something that we're getting maybe spoiled with. We watch the ESPN top 10s, and how many Castellanos probably isn't on 99% of those countdowns. But if he's not making errors, and he has an average throwing arm, I'm not going to say he's up there, with Puig or even like those top guys, but he's serviceable. He's not a liability. No. And just like you said, when it comes to hitting and what he brings to the plate, just a pro. Yeah. Just a pro. He learned from Cabrera for how many years? Well, him and JD, those are probably two of the best guys in the world to just be a sponge from and just gain knowledge. How do they prepare?
Well, you're not gonna, and this is the thing. There's so many fans out there that are just so fucking stupid, and they think that. I mean, this for lack of a better term. But they think that every fucking player that they should have on their team should be a 5-tool guy. Like, you come across a 5-tool guy, like, 1 out of 100. Yep. They're not everywhere. Nobody has them. Like, but everybody wants, everybody wants to put Mike Trout in left, Mike Trout in center, and Mike Trout in right. Well, there's not a lot of Mike Trouts. So it's like, if you can come across a guy that can fucking bat you 300 and drive in runs, but he doesn't, make the diving plays and the spectacular plays in the outfield, I'm going to take that guy. I would take that guy over the guy that can make diving plays and run down everything, but bat you fucking 220.
Jacoby Jones.
Yeah. Yes. Well, prime example, I always talk about Billy Hamilton. Mm-hmm. Oh, the guy can steal bases, and the guy can make all the plays in the outfield. He can run down everything. He has a great arm. But how is a guy that is the so-called fastest player in baseball only batting 220? That means he can't hit for shit because he should get a lot of infield singles.
You would think so
with that speed.
You know, and I hate to keep bringing it back to Red Sox talk, but it's Jackie Bradley Jr. Mm-hmm. And you can tell in that lineup when he's going good, that whole lineup goes good. But the reason that he keeps in that lineup is because of his defense. Mm-hmm. He'll get you some timely hits. He's not a liability at the plate by any means, but he's going to bat you 240. Mm-hmm. But when you have a team built around him, I'm tickling my throat. Sorry. When you have the team, that lineup built around him, you can you can kind of afford to have that 240 hitter. Mm-hmm. The Cubs really don't have that luxury. I mean, there's some great hitters on that team, but at the bottom of that order, it gets kind of scary. Mm-hmm. And the top of the order has never been the problem. Never been the problem. But it's the length, the longevity. You know, I hate to say it, but when you look at the Yankees, there really isn't a big hole in their fucking lineup.
No.
You might not know who the dude is.
The Yankees got, 3-4 guys that are not even in their lineup because of injuries, and they're still hitting more home runs than anybody there. And they've played this whole season and been probably the best offense in baseball, and haven't had Stanton for hardly any of it.
I think he's played 10 games.
Yeah,
something like that, something crazy. And Judge isn't even.
Yeah, Judge has been in and out because of injury. Yeah, and now you got Voit down, and it's just like
Gleyber Torres is the only starter that has not been on the IL.
Yeah, which is crazy. And I think he's like their 7 hitter, and he's got 25, 26 home runs.
Yeah. And probably 20 of them against Baltimore.
Yeah, and the Tigers don't have anybody in their lineup that has over 15 home runs, I don't think. So it's like
got to put things into perspective real quick. But yeah, kudos to the Cubs, man. They made the right move at the right time. And well, speaking of the right time, if they would have done it a month earlier,
yeah,
they probably could have put this division to bed real quick.
They could have made this move before the season started.
Yeah. And
maybe would have had to give up
a little
bit more, but you still wouldn't have had to give up. It's not like you're talking about giving up one of your top prospects for it. But man, you have Castellanos on this team the entire year.
Yeah, that's a huge difference.
Big difference. And I think and he was putting up good numbers in Detroit. I think his numbers would have even been better in Detroit if he was in a better situation. Detroit just shit the bed with the entire situation, and they moved him from position to position, and just the way that they handled it was wrong. And I could go on for an entire podcast about how they handled him wrong,
But I mean, in the end, kudos for him for standing his ground. Mm-hmm. Like, no, I'm not going to move again. This is my year to make money.
This is the most important season of his career.
Yeah, I'm not playing first base. No, I don't want to learn another position. Mm-hmm. But yeah, speaking of hot players, man, this Bo Bichette kid is hitting the cover off everything. He had a double in like his first 10 games. Yeah. It's a MLB record to start your career with that many. I mean, he waited like 5 pitches to get his first hit. Mm-hmm. And if you guys don't know, he's the son of Dante Bichette. Dante played mid-early 90s. Was one of the he pretty much made a career of hitting in Colorado. Him and his mullet. But so we're seeing more and more and more these past players' kids come up just this year, and man, this kid's swing is sweet.
How cool is it that you speak of 3 past players, kids coming up and playing, and 3 of them are on that Toronto team right now.
Yeah,
that to me is just such a cool situation, and you're talking, and not just 3 players, but 3, 2 of them Hall of Famers.
Yeah, Dante Bichette is not a Hall of Fame.
No, but
he's not even in the Skip Bayless Hall of Very Good.
No, but I mean, but the other two are very, very fucking good.
Yes.
And,
yes.
Yeah, just such a cool situation, and Bichette being the third one of all of them called up, and maybe the best one of the three. As far as what I've seen so far, he is the best of the three that I've seen.
Vlad's gonna get you the highlights, get you the pub, get the the ESPN highlights.
Well, he hits the fucking shit out of the ball.
But this Bichette kid, I think from here, barring injury, you can pencil him in for 330, maybe 100 RBIs a year. And if all three of those kids blossom into even anything close to what their dads were, Toronto's sitting real nice.
Yeah.
Need to get some pitching. It's sitting real nice for many years to come. And, but yeah, I watched, because I can't remember which game I was watching, but they broke into the Toronto game to watch Bichette's first at bat. And that's got to be a cool feeling as a dad sitting there watching, knowing that you played and now your son's playing and first at bat gets a knock. And I want to say that they said Dante was like had to wait like 2 games before he got his first knock. Son gets his first at bat, 5 pitches, I think it was. And he hasn't stopped. The kid hasn't stopped. And you probably, Turbo, well, does he have power? Yeah. I think he's played 12 games. I think he's got 2 bombs.
Yeah, I think he's got more than that.
Does he? It wouldn't shock me.
I could be wrong on this, but I want to say he has 4 going into today.
So there you go. There's your answer to that. And the kid just looks the part. You know what I mean? When you see someone and you're like, yes, I can tell he's a big leaguer. He's ready. So, and he might not ever stop hitting. You never know. I mean, maybe it's contagious. He just wants to keep going. And you know what? I guarantee the Blue Jays are going to be like, if that's the case, okay, go on. We're not going to stop you.
Yes, 4 home runs.
4 home runs.
I had to look that up. I want to make sure I wasn't like drunk last night and seeing shit. But no, he is.
How many games has he played?
In 52 at bats, he has 20 hits and 4 home runs.
That's not a bad way to start your career at all. Not a bad way to start your career at all. And
21 years old.
And he's doing it in the AL East.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a watered down division by any means. It's the fucking AL East. So keep an eye out on him. I'm keeping an eye out on the whole fucking Blue Jays team. I mean, they're...
I kind of touched on it before we went on the air, but talking about, just these 3 rookies here in Toronto, but let's just sit back and think about rookies alone in Major League Baseball this year. And I mean, you got a guy in the National League and Pete Alonso who, I mean, if it wasn't for what some of these other guys are doing, like Christian Yelich and Cody Bellinger and everything, could be considered an MVP candidate in the National League with what he's doing as a rookie, kind of coming out of nowhere.
I would still put him in the discussion. If it's like the Heisman, he's one of the 5 I'm bringing to New York. Is he going to win it? No. But it's a hell of
from what we've seen from him, I think it's safe to see that we're going to be able to watch one hell of a baseball player for years to come now.
Yeah.
And
speaking of him, Jesus.
You okay over there?
I might be dying. I don't know. I might be dying. But it was cool when during this hot streak of the Mets, he hit a game-tying home run, and it barely squeaked out, and he was jumping up and down and waving his arms, and that's what baseball needs. It needs that little kid in you every once in a while to pop out, because at the end of the day, it's a fucking game. It really is. But speaking of cool shit, and the Yankees and White Sox next year are going to be playing a game at the Field of Dreams, which is kind of cool. If you don't know what that is, I'm pretty sure we can't even be friends. But what kind of disappointed me, and once I dove into this a little bit more, when I first saw the headline, I'm like, man, yes, that would be really cool. Really cool. And just think of the players. We get to play a game on the Field of Dreams. How awesome would that be? Well, we'll never know, because they're building
a different,
building a field right next to it. And what is it, 8,000 seats?
That's what they're saying, yeah. And I hope that they do I don't want like a wall in the outfield. I just want a fucking cornfield. Just hit it into the corn. You hit it into the corn, it's a home run. You bounce it into the corn, it's an automatic double.
There you go.
Like just
speaking of taking it back the Little League days. There you go. There you go. And I think it's a great idea. It's going to be part of a 3-game series in Chicago. So the next 2 games will be played in Chicago. But yeah, I was like, man, it's still cool, don't get me wrong, but it went down like a couple cool points.
Yeah.
When I saw that they're building a field next to it. And then once I got reading a little further, the actual Field of Dreams isn't that big.
No.
And when you put big leaguers on it, I think someone said the fence was like 250, or not the fence, the corn was like 250. That's going to be even worse than when they were in London.
That's even worse than where the Yankees play every game. So I mean,
yeah, because
and Chicago is not any tougher ballpark to hit home runs in. So,
no. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. But I was kind of taken aback for a second. Like, man, I got to build a whole new field. And then all these people like, oh, I can't wait to buy tickets. Someone on my Facebook was like, oh, I bet your tickets are going to be $100.
Yeah, right.
Jay Stone puts right underneath them. Might want to add a 0.
Yeah, if they were $100, I'd buy one. Like,
yeah.
I would be waiting there trying to buy one.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of tickets for the public to buy.
No. I think those are going to be very exclusive. Very exclusive.
But no, it's a very, very cool situation. Like I said, I want it to be like, a cornfield that you just hit it into, and what has me, the first thing that came to my mind, kind of the nerdiness in me, thinking about like how they're gonna bring the replay booth in and all this shit and be able to, or close play at first, or did that ball bounce in the corn or not, or did that corn stalk take into effect and reach over the wall to grab that home run, or
yeah, they got to put a camera well in the corn. corn vision. Corn vision. Where the fuck are we going with this show? Jesus Christ. Well, how about we just change the subject real quick? I don't know. 2Ks, I don't know if you knew this, but preseason football started.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited because I want football to start so bad, especially since the Tigers are fucking terrible. I don't know if anybody's realized that, but I'm really getting tired of watching baseball. So I'm ready for something different, but like preseason just doesn't do it for me.
I don't know how. And I know there's going to be these massive football fans going, "Oh my God, Turbo! Can't believe you can't get into preseason football. You're a big football fan." Most of the big names didn't even fucking play.
Yeah.
So stop that. Oh, well, you gotta wait. You gotta look into it for the depth of everything. Who's the backup? I don't give a shit who's the backup left tackle.
Yeah, you're not gonna be on my fantasy team, so I don't give a fuck.
No. But with that being said, there were some cool stories to come out, and cool and fucking weird stories. So let's start off with the weird.
Okay.
Start off with the weird. We won't tease the 2K crew that much. Let's just throw our dick on the table and let's just go at it. Antonio Brown, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you? And someone's cutting down a big ass tree outside, obviously. But first of all, you get frostbite on your feet. Now, I've never been to a cryogenesis booth, but I've been out in Michigan winter, which I'm sure is pretty close. Not really, but
yeah.
On top of that, if you guys don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, he got frostbite on the bottom of his fucking feet when he went to cryotherapy. Now, for those of you who don't know what the fuck cryotherapy is, it's a booth you go in like a minute, 2 minutes at a time. It can go, most of the time it's negative 100. It can go even lower than that, like minus 250. So like I said, Michigan winter. And when you go into these things, you're supposed to wear things, footwear and gloves and, for your extremities so you don't get frostbite.
Well, I mean, those temperatures alone anybody with half a fucking brain in their head, what you would think would be like, oh yeah, I got to cover up the skin if I'm going into, that cold of temperatures.
I bet you something else was covered. because you're not hearing about ding ding frostbite. So yeah, if I'm covering up my ding ding, I'm covering up my feet and covering up my hands.
Yes.
And when you're an athlete like that makes your living with your hands and your feet.
Well, I mean, you're going into the therapy that you're going through is for your feet. So why wouldn't you take the biggest thing I would be taking care of are my fucking feet?
And who let him in? Who's the guy running the booth? Be like, yo, bro.
I bet he doesn't have a job. I bet Gruden was just pulling his fucking hair out.
This guy right here running this booth. Done. Can't be on my team.
Fucking fired, man.
Go outside and run some rear naked reverse bananas or whatever the fuck play that's called. But it gets weirder. If you thought that was the weirdest thing that's happened in sports this week, you're wrong. Mm-hmm. You're wrong. Because now, Antonio Brown says he's not going to play football. Not going to play at all. Unless he can use his old helmet.
Yeah. Which is so fucking stupid.
You get paid an exorbitant amount of money. Everyone else seems to like their helmet.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think about it this way, but you brought it up, and it could very well be that when he's talking about his old helmet, it might actually be a Pittsburgh Steelers helmet. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, it's just like, you know, you always hear it about with, you know, you got guys in the NFL, they're holding out because they're not, you know, they want to get their money. They want to get their money, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
You know, so you have a situation like this where you have a player that has been one that's wanted to get his money and deserved it. I mean, his play on the field he's been the best wide receiver for quite some time now. But the NFL as a whole is trying to be better safety-wise. Mm-hmm. And that's why they're putting these, you know, basically just putting this out. You can't use this helmet anymore because we've done all the tests that there is to do on it, and this helmet's not as safe as this helmet, this helmet, and this helmet. And I think they threw out there's 10 different styles of helmets that have passed
with an unlimited amount of face mask options.
Yes,
and visor options and all this other shit. And he's like, well, it impedes my vision.
You can't use that shit when the NFL is saying that we're trying to make this safer for you and for all of your players, so that we don't have players that have multiple head injuries by the end of their career, and can't do even simple things as far as being able to walk around their house or talk to their loved ones and all that. And the NFL is trying to make it safer, and now you come out on the other end of things and are saying, well, if I can't wear this helmet that didn't pass the fucking hell. The people that are doing this health test, something tells me they're probably smarter than Antonio Brown and know more about what the brain can take and what the brain can't take.
Yeah, they probably wear shoes in cryotherapy.
Exactly. So it's like, dude, just shut the fuck up. It's starting to make it even easier to see why Pittsburgh wanted nothing to do with him anymore.
Yes.
When you already knew it was bad when you are taking the best wide receiver in the NFL. And the team that you have played for and have, won multiple games for over the years doesn't even fucking want you anymore.
Yep.
And Ben Roethlisberger doesn't even fucking want you anymore. And all you've done for Ben is pad his fucking stats for years and years and years. And he doesn't even want you anymore. So we already knew that you were a fucking idiot. Mm-hmm. And now you're just showing yourself to be even more of a fucking idiot. And it is so mind-boggling to me.
I'm wondering if he goes and legally changes his name to Ocho Nueve.
That's a perfect example right there.
Because that's to me that's the next step.
Yes,
that's the next step. Going Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco, whatever the fuck you want to call him. Just stop with this whole nonsense. And
at
that's
least
exactly
Ocho Cinco
what it is.
was fucking funny. I could actually listen to some of the shit that come out of his mouth and I would laugh. With Brown, I'm so fucking over it that I hope he doesn't get his way and just fucking retire. Yeah. The Raiders are already gonna suck. I think everybody's got all this high hope now that we got AB, we're gonna tear shit up. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're still the fucking Raiders. You've been a joke ever since I've been alive.
And they're gonna run that poor Jacobs kid in the fucking ground too. Watch him. Mm-hmm. Watch him. Now let's switch that to some feel good news. The Buffalo Bills. Yes, we're talking about the Buffalo Bills. Might be one of the only times in this whole podcast They were going to talk about the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, they don't have Incognito anymore, so this is it.
Yeah.
Incognito joined the Raiders.
Yep, exactly. and I think he got suspended from them, too, for doing something
First
stupid.
2 games, yeah.
Yeah. But Buffalo Bills drafted a kid. Didn't even draft him. I think they signed him. Who had never played football in his life. Let me run that back to you again. The Buffalo Bills have a guy on their team who's a running back, mind you, that has never played football in his life. You might be asking yourself, well, what did he do beforehand? Where did he come from? What's going on? He was a professional rugby player. So, hey, you know this dude is a beast. And his name is Christian Wade. And what did Mr. Wade do on his first ever NFL touch? He's going to pop off like a 58-yard touchdown. Granted, it was against like second and third stringers, but no one even touched him. So that was a really, really cool story. And I don't think I've ever heard of a team picking someone up that had never played even anything in high school, and they're nothing. Got his first ever snap in training camp. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty cool. And when it comes down to fantasy, he might be my 16th round pick, just because. Because they're the Bills. I'm pretty sure in the past they've actually asked people in the stands if they want to play. This guy's got a leg up on him because at least he plays rugby. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he. If you guys are lazy and don't want to Google him, you remember Maurice Jones-Drew, the little bowling ball, what he was? Well, this kid looks like 4 inches taller, but same bowling ball stature. And yes, has the same gigantic legs that MJD had, and he reminds me a lot of him. So keep an eye out on that, because it's one of those stories I want to, just me as a person, I'm interested in it. I think I'm going to keep an eye on it just to see if he makes the team, and if he does, what impact he has. And the kid's fast as shit, and like I said, a bowling ball. So I mean, if nothing else, put him on special teams. And so this year, there's pretty much only three rookie quarterbacks that anyone gives a shit about. Last year we had 5, so there's a lot more to talk about. And let's talk about the one that shit the absolute bed. Dwayne Haskins. Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. First series, pick 6. I think his stat line was less than 100 yards passing with 2 interceptions and a pick 6. If you're a Redskins fan, keep in mind, right now as it stands, he's the number 3 quarterback on your team. And I didn't even know Colt McCoy was still in the league, but obviously he's the backup and in line before Haskins. So, all right. Yeah, fuck me. All right. Didn't even know he's still in the league. So, yeah, your first round pick, Redskins, you have him at your 3rd string. That blows my mind. And their starter's name escapes me.
Oh. Is it Alex Smith that they have there?
I don't even think he's back or will be back yet. It's Case Keenum.
Yeah. Fuck.
Case Keenum. So it's not like the competition's real stiff, if you ask me. And I don't know if this is all just a preseason publicity, put the kid in a spot. He'll end up starting eventually, of course. But yeah, I did not see that coming. I did not see that coming.
And I think it's safe to say that that's his. It's his position for years to come. You know, do I think he's going to start there now? No. They're going to work his way in there. Listen, the Redskins know that they're not going to compete. You got Philadelphia and the Cowboys in their same division.
Yeah,
they're not going to compete for anything this year. Let's work this guy into it.
Yeah, exactly. And
I still think he's the best quarterback taken in the draft.
I'm going to agree with you until one of these kids proves me wrong. And even at that rate, I think you really can't go wrong choosing him anyway. But the interview they had with him after the game, he's like, you know what? I learned more doing that than if I would have thrown two touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very true. Just give you I'm pretty sure Daniel Jones is going to start for the Giants the way his preseason got off. I don't even think Eli put on a helmet. But yeah, he went like 5 for 5.
Yeah,
I mean,
looks like a fucking baller out there,
Yeah,
and
man.
all we've done is rip on him on this show.
We probably still will, but
No,
yeah.
I'm not done. I'm gonna rip on the Giants all year. I hate them.
But yeah, he came out, and I think he shocked more people than anyone that made their debut or even played so far. Granted, what was cool with the Giants is they left the players that he was playing with are your quote unquote first stringers.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're throwing them out there with third string receivers and all this other shit. And what the other team had as far as defense goes, I don't know, but it was an NFL defense.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's a step up from college. I can tell you that.
Yeah. And he also gives an interview exactly like Eli. So he looks like him. For right now, plays better than him. And gives an interview just like him. I can see why the Giants were enamored with him. Mm-hmm. It's all making sense. The only thing he needs to do is throw more G's and gosh and you know Eli catchphrases like that into his interview, and I think the kid's golden. You can pencil him in for 2 Super Bowl wins, Hall of Famer right there. Bam. But Kyler Murray had an impressive first game, so we shall see how during the whole season how this Cliff Kingsbury system works. And he says, well, it works in college. Why can't it work in the NFL? Well, Chip Kelly thought that too.
It didn't work in college either there, big guy, because he didn't win a whole lot of games there. So it's like, I don't know, that whole situation was just kind of a... I think that Arizona it already pissed me off. The name slips my mind of the guy that coached at Arizona last year. I know they only gave him 1 season and then shit canned him for Kingsbury, who I didn't even think he didn't even impress me at the college level. He didn't win, and he had Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
So that tells you right there that
he's a quarterback whisperer, dude.
and somebody can tell me though, like, oh well, he made Patrick Mahomes. Bullshit.
No.
Nobody even fucking really knew Patrick Mahomes until last season, when he actually got with somebody that does know shit about offense. Then he kind of started had his coming out party. But the whole situation with Kingsbury, I think it was a kind of a, oh well, look at what the Rams are doing with what the fuck's his name there?
Sean
McVay.
Yeah.
With McVay, we have to hire our 30-year-old coach also, and that's what the NFL is doing now. We got to get those young coaches.
You know, McVay's coaching tree is just stupendous. I mean, they're pretty much going out and getting like guys that cut his hair, the valet perhaps, and you know, I'm pretty sure like there's one dude that shook his hand once.
Yeah.
So
he must know everything about football. We got to get him.
It's that transfer of energy, bro. That's how it works. That's how it works. And you know what? Fuck it. We're an NFL team. We might as well try.
Yeah.
Might as well try.
And if you're the Arizona Cardinals, I mean, you got to try about anything at this point.
Yeah. Poor Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
You talk about a pro's pro.
Yeah.
He had one good quarterback.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's one.
Still waiting on him to drop a pass because I don't think it's happened.
I don't know. I think you're very right. And if it does, the whole NFL might just stop running.
Well, I think I read a statistic that he has more tackles
than drops
in his career.
Which, you know, that's kind of an interesting point because that kind of leads to his quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And
there's probably been a lot of opportunities to make tackles.
Yeah, but then again, they have to be good enough to get you the ball at least. So which way are you going on that one? I mean, it's kind of a catch-22 if you look at it like that. But yeah, there's been a lot of times, a lot of opportunities when interceptions are thrown that, yeah. And you know they weren't fumbles coming from him. So I look back on that, you know, when him and Anquan Bolden were the 2 studs there and everyone was like, oh, Bolden's the best. Bolden's the best. Bolden had a great career. Don't get me wrong, but I think he ain't
even close.
I think Larry Legend has way outplayed Mr. Bolden. That's for sure. And
Larry's a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. There's
hands down.
not even a question there.
They might as well just open the doors and let him walk
Yes.
in. I mean, don't even put it to a fucking vote. Because if you don't vote for him, I don't know what the fuck you've been watching.
He is one of the best wide receivers that I've ever seen in my lifetime. Not only just on the field, but off the field, and how he is as an individual.
He's a pro's pro.
Yes, he is.
He's a pro's pro.
He is one of the best I've ever seen in any sport that there is, as far as how he handles his business on the field and how he handles it off.
Yep. You can't argue that. You can't. I'm sorry, and if you want to try, you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You're wrong, and I know that's not how you argue, but you're wrong.
Exactly.
Bring me one valid point to argue this. I will invite it. I'm sure 2Ks would love to hear it, and we'll just throw it back at you and call you stupid.
Yes, because you are stupid for saying that.
And we debate like 5-year-olds. So. You're stupid. No, you're stupid. Stupid head. How often do you hear that at your house?
Every day.
And that's not just between you and Chell, huh?
You already know who wins that battle.
Yeah.
Chell says you're stupid. I just say okay. I know.
That married life gotcha. That married life gotcha. Well, let's kind of, we're getting down to that nitty gritty point here. And Fantasy Football League, guys, I think we have 3 spots left. Within the last 2 days, I've had 6 or 7 people ask. So, like I've said many times, it's first come, first serve. And if you really want to get in, I don't want to have to tell you, I'm sorry, it's full.
Mm-hmm.
We still have time. We still have plenty of time, even if we do go over, to get another one started.
Mm-hmm.
So let's kick this into overdrive, because the first one I think is gonna be filled regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's other people that want to play, I want to let you guys play, and guys and gals, and because I really don't want to be like, well, we're full. I'm sorry. Now, if it goes completely nuts and we go, I'm not going to do more than 2.
No.
So that's a little ridiculous. But
then we get to a situation where I'm not opposed to playing in both leagues if we need another number or anything like that. So. And
most of the people that have signed up, I'm like, man, it's going to be some easy money. Give me some easy money. Easy money. Now, I will warn you, the girl Kayla that signed up, she's a baller. She's been playing for years.
Well, I tell you, most of the women that I've ever played fantasy sports with, they fucking are good. Like, they know, they have like this sixth sense, or they know what's going to happen before the season. And I mean, my wife, prime example last season. And a lot of people want to say, oh, Kyle helped her with that. I didn't help her with shit.
You're in the other room.
Yes, I didn't help her with shit. I want to tell people that I did, but no, that's not the case. Now, did I beat her in the playoffs and make it to win? Yeah, I did. I took care of business when it was time. But
when it was time.
And like I said, I mean, my team did go undefeated last year. I don't know if I've said that on air yet, but no, her team was the second best in the league. Mm-hmm. I mean, and she knew, and everybody's like, oh, Kyle, I bet Kyle did all that with her. I did not.
Mm-hmm. And now, even Nikki Hackenberg's another one you got to be. Mm-hmm. She's sneaky. Chris Zeed's another one. But no, Kayla's been trying to get in the drop anchor league now for like the past 5 or 6 years. And she just couldn't make the weekly commit.
Yeah.
So when she found out about this, she jumped on it, and I did a Facebook Live, and when she was messaging me, and I was like, well, if Kayla signs up, if you really want Drew Brees, you better draft her before her. She's a huge Saints fan. Huge Saints fan. So then she told me to go fuck off. So
a lot of the stuff I've been reading has Brees as one of the biggest busts going into the season. I'm not saying that I agree or I disagree, but it's just what I've been reading.
Hey, you know what? Just because it's in print doesn't mean it's true.
No.
And players like that love to make people in the media, which we have been referred to. Or referred as. So us in the media, players love to make us look stupid, and which, if you listen to the show, we do sound stupid a lot because we're wrong a lot.
Absolutely.
You know what? Yeah, Morgan's getting all. We're talking about fantasy football. She gets all fired up again. But yeah, if I will post again because this is obviously going out on Tuesday. Probably Monday I'll post on the Facebook group again and my own personal Facebook about the fantasy football, because I want to make sure we get 10, which I don't think is going to be a problem. But I'm what we're going to avoid, not trying to avoid, is I want everything set at least a day before.
Yes.
That's why we want the money due Wednesday before.
Well,
drafting on Friday.
We're talking about going live, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, so everyone knows their draft
Everyone's
spots.
going to know where they're drafting.
You know, and I don't want this last minute, well, hold on. Do you have room for one more? No. No. And doing everything via PayPal, so A, I don't want to have cash around, and B, when it comes down to paying out, which most of it's going to stay with me, but paying out, it's just super easy. Just put in the amount, hit send. Don't have to track you down. I don't have to, run into you. I don't have to, because like I said, getting the money is usually the hardest part. When people win, they usually track you down to get the money. Mm-hmm. But there's been a couple times where there's been envelopes that drop anchor for about a month. So, and that's after a month of me trying to track people down. So, because there's a couple times people didn't know they even fucking won. Bendy Young. Oh shit, I won. I made one move all year.
Well, there's people that lose and they owe money, but they live in town, and all of a sudden they go like incognito on you. You can't find them anywhere. They won't even just pay up so they can go hang out at the bar and be normal on the weekends. They just fucking totally, dish. Which there's only a couple thousand people in this town, so it's not like you can hide from it.
Yeah, and especially in that league, we all know where each other lives, so it's not like it's a big...
Just fucking pay your $50, god damn it.
Yeah.
Tired of this shit.
All right, well, we are at that 1 hour mark. Morgan's obviously fucking fired up about fantasy football, as are we, so let's end it on that, folks. Have yourself a great week. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you have a great Tuesday when this comes out, and we will see you next week. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.